All right, guys, welcome to another episode of Latino World Travelers virtual travel party. Here today with us, we have Flavia.
Hello.
Hello, Flavia. She's gonna talk to us about her trip traveling sola to Panama and Costa Rica. I mean, Panama and Colombia.
Colombia, yeah.
Lower the volume in the phone.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we hear it twice.
Yeah, I hear it twice. Okay. Yes. So I actually decided to do this trip kind of on a whim. I had always wanted to go to Colombia, and I saw a really cheap flight. I bought a one-way ticket to Medellin from Newark, and it was about $170. So I was like, I'm booking it. I'm going. So, yeah, I was like, that's a great deal. I can't not not do that. So I booked it, and then at the time, I really wasn't sure how long I was going to be there. Just thought I wanted to do definitely Colombia and Panama because I had heard about the boat that goes between the two countries. So I was like, I definitely have to do that. But I really had no set time frame. I knew I just had to be done before the 20th of June that year because I had a summer job. So between then, I had an unlimited amount of time. And so I just went for it. I spent 4 weeks in Colombia. I went to I wrote it down because I wasn't going to remember. I went to 15 different cities or towns throughout the whole country. Yeah. And in every city or town, I spent a different amount of time, really depending on how much I felt I should be there. So in Medellin, I spent the most amount of time, in total about a week. I actually went twice. I started there, then went south to Guatapé, Peñol, Pereira, Salento. I don't know if any of you guys have ever seen that big field with the really tall palm trees, El Valle de Cocora. I went there also. Santa Rosa de Cabral, which is this place with a beautiful waterfall, and they have these like spas so you can relax. Then to Cali, then Pasto, which is near the border with Ecuador. Ipiales, which has this beautiful sanctuary called Las Lajas, and it was amazing. I definitely recommend that. And San Agustin, which was kind of in like the middle of nowhere where I rode horses. And actually the picture I posted on my Instagram of me looking out into a valley, that's San Agustin. So beautiful. And then Finlandia before going back to Medellin for a few more days. And then I flew from Medellin to Santa Marta, and then did the northern part of the country. So Santa Marta, Parque Tayrona, Cartagena, before heading to the town where I would take the boat to Panama. So I did a lot. I really saw almost everything I wanted to see, except for Bucaramanga, I want to say it's called. I might have that wrong. But pretty much everything there that I really wanted, that I was interested in going to and seeing, I went to there. But
how was the experience
traveling on your own?
Yeah, so I actually had a lot of people before I went ask me, so you're gonna go by yourself? Do you know anybody there? Do you have friends there? And at the time, actually, I didn't. I know people who are Colombian and Panamanian, more Colombian than Panamanian, but I went completely by myself. I didn't have any friends there at the time. I met people while I was traveling, but I did it completely on my own. My parents were kind of worried a little bit because obviously Colombia has this whole reputation with Escobar and that whole thing. So, but I was like, I'm doing it. I was supposed to go with a friend back in high school to her quinceañera. That didn't work out because my parents were worried then, but I was like, I'm going to do it now. So yeah, and while I was there, people would also ask me, so you're by yourself? Sometimes if I felt like they were giving me a sketchy vibe, I didn't say that. I was like, no, I just decided to do today by myself.
Okay.
That I was by myself. But definitely knowing the language helps a lot because I never really had any problem with that. Obviously, I don't have a Colombian accent in Spanish, but it was definitely fine. I met people that were also traveling from other parts of Europe, from Australia, and I would kind of link up with people in hostels, and then we would travel together for like 3 or 4 days, and then we'd each go on our way. But yeah, It was definitely a good experience. It's the longest solo trip I've ever done, but I really enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun. I definitely look back and it was a really good experience. I would definitely do something like that again.
You spent 4 weeks in Colombia?
Yeah, 4 weeks in Colombia.
Do
And
you
then it
feel
was
like
3 days on the boat. So once I got to the boat, there was boats that leave from Cartagena, but the one that I decided to take was with San Blas Adventures, which has, it leaves from Saspuro. So they could either take you there. It's a little bit extra. It was $445 for the boat ride, which includes the boat, the accommodations for those nights, all of the meals, and then also facilitates your entry into Panama.
do you feel like
Then,
you could have
so they take you from Cartagena to a town, Saspuro, and then from there to a little island, which I don't remember the name of. I have to look it up. But there, then the boat does leave into Panama. And we spent almost half a day just getting through customs because of the way that we were going in through, since we were going through a boat. But it was great because we would sleep every night on a different island. So we would sleep on hammocks, or we would sleep kind of like on the beach. It was really a different experience. You know those palm trees, or those little islands with like the one palm tree that you see kind of when you think of Paris? I saw those and I was like, it's so awesome. Yeah. So that was really cool. I mean, it was definitely a unique way to go from one country to another. And once I heard of that, I knew I had to do that experience.
And what was the city again that you left from in Colombia?
Saspuro. Yeah, Saspuro. Which I would have never gone to had it not been for this. Otherwise, there's other boats that leave from Cartagena, which I think are faster boats. You don't pass through as many islands, I heard. You do pass through more islands the way I went through, because you're kind of bordering the coast instead of just more time in the ocean. So it was cool.
You spent 4 weeks in Colombia. Do you feel like everything you did in
about 3 weeks, just under 3 weeks in Panama, like the actual country. I'm not counting those 3 days that I was kind of in transit. And there I went through Panama City, El Valle de Antón, Boquete y Bocas del Toro, which are other islands on like the northern part of the country. Yeah, so that was also, I didn't spend as time in as many cities in Panama as I would have liked, but I don't know, it just worked out that way. I ended up spending more time in every city than in Colombia, where I spent
because there was probably so much to do in each city.
Yeah, there was. I actually met a lot more people in Panama that I spent more time with. So then I would kind of stay in one place a little bit longer, and that kind of influenced what I did. So since it was kind of, I would book hostels maybe the night or 2 nights before I went anywhere, I was really free to do anything that I wanted, which was nice because I wasn't so structured and I have to be here at this time and this place. And so it was kind of really nice that way.
It was more going with the flow.
Yeah, definitely really going with the flow. And then I actually didn't leave from Panama to go back to the US. I went into Costa Rica and then went to San Jose and flew back. So that was actually another experience, crossing the border between Panama and Costa Rica. I had to walk. So I went through immigration through Panama, and then I had to cross this bridge, like with all of my stuff. Since I was traveling solo and I was going to be backpacking, I did it with a 50-liter backpack. So I had one big backpack and then like a smaller front pack that I would use as a day pack. And that was all I took with me for that whole time.
Wow.
Which I thought I wasn't going to be able to do it, but I actually didn't use everything that I took. So it is possible. But it was heavy lugging it around. And if I were to do that again, I would get a different backpack. The backpack I had was not the ideal one because it only opens from the top. And once you do it, you see you need ones that open from the side, from the bottom, so you don't have to take everything out and kind of go through the whole thing. But so I crossed the bridge, and then I had to take a bus. It was just also a very long, and I ended up getting sick that night in Costa Rica. I have no idea why. My flight was the next day. The pharmacies didn't open until 9, and I think my flight was around 1. So I had to like go to a pharmacy and then go to the airport. But I made it, thankfully. So.
It was just the body telling you, come back home.
I think because I've just been doing so much. So it's just like, you need to relax a little bit now. Go home, take rest and everything.
Yeah.
And actually, I think somebody asked me this the other day when I briefly mentioned it. I did end up quitting my job before I did this whole trip because there was no way any job would give me 7 or indefinite amount of time to be like, all right, go have fun. So I did quit my job. It was kind of like a seasonal temporary job anyway, so it wasn't so bad. And I knew when I got back I had another job waiting for me, so I was kind of in between jobs for the time being. But
How did you
travel in Colombia?
rent a car or public transportation?
public transportation for the most part. Yeah, I just did public transportation. Actually, when I arrived in Medellin that day, originally I'd already screenshotted and knew where my hostel was, which was in El Poblado by Parquegueras, which is like a big spot for nightlife and things like that. So I was going to take a bus, but I guess the bus that I took from the airport was right, but then the next bus that I had to take, I never found it, so I just jumped in. I was so tired at that point. I was like, I jumped in a taxi, just went to the hostel, and then I was like, from here on out, I will only use public transportation. But I couldn't do it at that point. I was just like tired. I was just a little irritated. I was like, no, I'm not starting my whole trip this way. So I did that. But then, yeah, from there, I would take public transportation. I only took one flight in Colombia. Once I went back to Medellin and before going to Santa Marta, there was I think, an 18-hour bus, which I didn't really want to do that. So I took a flight on Viva Colombia, which is their cheaper airline in there. And it cost me, I think, about $33, which I had to also check in luggage. And I picked my seat. So all of those were additions. It would have probably been like $25 or so without that. But so it wasn't that expensive at all. It was very convenient.
And did you go with a specific budget in mind, or how did it work out?
I actually tried looking that up to see how much I did spend during the whole thing. Throughout the flights and the boat that I took, that was just under $900 just for those big transportation parts. But then I think the part that I did throughout the 2 countries, I think it was under like 1,800. I don't think I spent that much. I'd really have to look through it to see what I did, but every night I would stay in hostels. I would eat enough, but things were pretty cheap for the most part. Panama was a lot more expensive when it came to food than Colombia, and I felt like I ate fine, so it was not a problem at all. So I think about that. Definitely not more than $2,000 within that time. And I did paragliding. What else did I do?
Where did you do it?
I did that one in Medellin. Yeah, I did that in Medellin. I probably still have the number of the guy I did it with. I don't remember, but I could find it. So I didn't really hold back from any of the things that I wanted to do. So I was like, I never know if I'll ever be back in these countries. I want to do as much as I can. And so, yeah. But thankfully I didn't spend too much either.
Exactly. Where was the picture taken, the one that you gave us?
The one on the palm tree?
Yes.
Yeah, that's in San Blas.
San Blas? Okay.
Yeah, that's in the Islas de San Blas. Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely paradise. That is like untouched paradise. It was beautiful.
Nice. And we have a couple of questions from our Instagram viewers. Let me see.
It says, did you book
Transportation before or during the trip?
During. I did all the transportation bookings during, because I wasn't sure how long I was going to be anywhere or where I was going to go next. And some places I went to that I hadn't even heard of before the trip. So I actually heard of them while I was on the trip, and I was like, I actually kind of want to go there. So I just rerouted that way.
Nice.
So, yeah, so everything I did at the moment, it wasn't a problem. A lot of times you could either, I bought a Colombian SIM card. So I did have that, which gave me data and minutes to call. I want to say it was maybe about $15 for the month, something like that. But so that way I could either call to make a reservation for the bus, or sometimes I would actually a lot of times just show up to the bus terminal and just say I want a ticket to wherever. And a lot of times buses were leaving every half an hour, every 45 minutes. So I'd get something to eat while I waited.
Nice.
worked out.
What was your experience alone and with the locals?
So alone, it was fine. I actually, even though I went by myself and I didn't know anybody, I didn't really spend that much time alone. I probably spent about 3 full days by myself. I always met people at hostels or sometimes local people. On the buses, I always try to talk to as many local people as possible. I actually ended up getting this one girl's number and holding her baby while she was calling somebody else. But yeah, so I tried to interact with both. I definitely did meet a lot more travelers, just because at hostels you kind of get exposed to that a little bit more. But I didn't have any problem with that. Yeah.
So you
great.
felt comfortable and at ease with everybody? They treated you
Well,
Yeah, definitely. The only place I felt probably the most uncomfortable, and I really don't know why, was Cali. And I only ended up spending there one night. Originally, I wanted to spend like 2 or 3 nights just because it's like the salsa capital. And I was like, this will be fun and everything. But I got to my hostel and it was empty. There was nobody there. So I kind of was like, I don't even know how to meet people. And then for some reason that day, everything was closed. I don't know if it was a national holiday or something. So it was just kind of got like a weird vibe in Cali. Even the public transportation I took from the bus terminal to the hostel kind of already got me on like I don't know, like not the best terms, but I would definitely want to go back maybe with somebody, and maybe that would kind of change my experience a little bit. But even a lot of people while I was there were telling me like, be careful when you go to Cali, or when I was in Medellin and other cities telling them that I was going to go there, they were like, be careful, more about Cali than Medellin. So, and in Medellin I felt totally fine.
Were they saying be careful because why?
I don't know. They were saying that it's like a little dangerous. The cartels, there's also cartels in Cali. So maybe like a little bit of that, and because I'm a foreigner. But so actually when I travel, I always say I'm Peruvian, especially when I'm traveling in Latin American countries, because I have my Peruvian ID, my Peruvian passport, my Peruvian accent, I guess, when I speak Spanish. So I just go with I'm Peruvian, and I don't say anything about the US. So hopefully nobody thinks I have money and tries to rip me off or anything.
Like you're not a target, yes.
Yeah, so.
What was your favorite city in Colombia and why?
Medellin. I really love Medellin. I would love to go back. The weather is perfect. People are nice. There's so much to see and do. Actually, after I left, I saw that there was so much that I missed out on that I want to go back. I have some friends now who moved there a year after I went, so I want to go visit them. But yeah, so I would definitely want to go back. And the food is good. The people are super nice. It's a very friendly place.
What were the top activities that you did? I know you mentioned paragliding. What else did you do?
So one day, in the southern part of Colombia near Ecuador, there was 2 things that I really wanted to do, and I was kind of a little bit limited on time just because then I wanted to head back to go do a few other things. So I did La Laguna Verde and El Santuario de las Lajas in one day, and they're kind of far apart. So this wasn't really, it was just kind of more me trying to know that I could do it and kind of beat the clock in a way to try and do 2 things in a day. But both of them were very beautiful. The Laguna Verde, I ended up spending my whole walk there, the hike there and the hike back by myself. Nobody was there. It was kind of raining a little bit, well, drizzling. So I did that. And then the Santuario de las Lajas, at nighttime, they light it up with different colors. So that was also very beautiful. But then I kind of hitched a ride with somebody on a motorcycle, and because I needed to get to the
No way.
Yes, I needed to get to the bus terminal because I needed to get a bus from Ipiales back to Pasto where all my stuff was. So there was no way I was going to make it walking from where I got off to the bus terminal. So I started walking, but I was like tirando dedo. I was like, I have to get there faster. And I literally got on the last bus leaving Ipiales. So if I did it, I would have been stuck there for the night without any of my stuff or anything.
Oh
so
my God.
I'm glad that I got back. And I was going to pay the guy who took me on the motorcycle too. I was like, how much can I give you? Like, thank you for helping me out. And he was like, don't worry about it. You'll be back. I was like, okay,
You'll be back.
I will be.
Wow.
So that was interesting. But then also the San Blas Adventures, the boat. that was definitely a unique experience. Just sleeping in the hammocks, just kind of going around the different islands. It was so beautiful that those are such vivid memories in my mind still. I love that.
And then you said you went to about 4 cities in Panama. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I started in Panama City. I went around El Casco Viejo. I went around parts of the new part of the city. There's also a beautiful park near Casco Viejo. I walked around there. It was so I met this guy at the hostel who he ended up having family who was from Panama. So I ended up going out to dinner with them one night. And then from there, they took us to the spot where you could see the whole city from far away, which was really beautiful. So that
What's
was
the spot? Share with
I
us.
don't know what it was called. We went in their car, so I have no idea. They took us out to eat. I was like, I'll pay. And he was like, no, don't worry about it. I was like, let's go here. I was like, oh, okay, fine. I was just very go with the flow during this whole thing. So I'm like, I don't know. I wasn't that worried. Sometimes I look back and I'm like, maybe I should have been a little bit more worried about certain situations I put myself in. But thankfully, nothing bad has happened. I've had a good judge of character so far. And then from Panama City, I want to say 3 days, 2 nights there. And then I went to El Valle de Anton, which is in the middle of nowhere, really. It's just one big road that's in it, and then like little side roads with the houses. It's very mountainous, it's very green. I did a few hikes there. There's actually a butterfly garden there, so I went there one day, and there's a few that even landed on my head. I got some pictures. It was really cool. The monarch butterflies, the blue ones, they're so beautiful. And then from there I went to Boquete, which it was a very long bus ride, and just figuring out the logistics part of it, I had to take 2 buses. So from Valle de Anton, I had to take a small bus to a bigger station a little bit outside of the city, back on the main road, the Panamericana. And then from there, I had to take a bus to David, which is the name of another city, and then take another bus to Boquete. So I didn't get to Boquete until almost 10, 11 p.m., which I try and avoid doing when I travel, especially by myself, getting to a city too late at night, just because I don't know what the area is going to be like or anything. But thankfully, it was really safe. The bus left me about half a block from where my hostel was anyway, so there's no problem. And then Boquete is also very beautiful, very green. There's a lot of adventure kind of sports. I didn't do any of them, but there's zip lining. There's a lot of hiking. There's waterfalls. I did go to some waterfalls. The last post on my Instagram, or I think Instagram stories with the waterfall, that's in Boquete. Yeah, that's very beautiful.
And you spent there 2 days?
I want to say three days and 2 nights, because I was actually doing online training during that time for the summer job I was going to have. So some of the time I didn't even get to spend too much outside because I was online doing the training. But we ended up losing power one day in the hostel, or actually the whole town completely. So it kind of gave me an excuse to not continue with the training for the day. But yeah, and then from there I took a bus to a boat to Bocas del Toro.
Okay.
Which is also very nice.
And what is there in Bocas del Toro?
So there's also islands. There's different islands. There's bigger ones, smaller ones. The big one is Bocas del Toro, like town or pueblo. And there's hostels. There's a lot of parties. A lot of people just are snorkeling. People go scuba diving. So there's a lot of different activities that people can do. I did a boat trip to Isla Bastamientos. Yeah, Bastamientos, and there's Red Frog Beach, which is supposed to be one of the most beautiful beaches there. I think there might be red frogs. I did not see any, and the day I went was kind of cloudy, so it wasn't the greatest, but it was still very beautiful, and there wasn't that many people, so that was nice.
Yeah. When did you go? What season?
Oh yeah, I went in the spring, so from April to June. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Very nice.
Any questions, guys? Make sure if you're on Instagram Live, go to the question mark at the bottom, submit your questions. If you're on Zoom, just unmute yourself and ask the question directly.
Hello? Can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, yeah, because I was trying to ask a question earlier, and I'm like, I don't know if anybody hears me. Do you think that you said you spent a month in Colombia. Do you feel like you could have done everything that you did in Colombia in a shorter amount of time, or you just spent so much time there because you wanted extra days to do all the things that you did?
I probably could have spent less time in Colombia, or more. If I had done a few of the other things that I didn't get around to doing, I probably could have spent a few more days. But yeah, I definitely could have done it in less, because I spent first 4 days in Medellin, and when I came back, I spent another 3. I didn't need to spend a whole week, and I probably could have done more things the first time that I was there. But since I didn't really have a set schedule or anybody that I was meeting at any point, it was just kind of up to me to do whatever I wanted. So.
And the boat ride to Panama, how long was it? I don't know if you said it or maybe I missed it.
The boat ride?
Yes.
Yeah, so from leaving Cartagena, because I had to go to another town, it ended up being a 2-day, 1-night thing, just getting to the city that I was actually going to, or the town that I was going to be leaving from to go onto the boat. So there's those 2 days and then 3 days on the boat. So it ended up being a total of 5 days, just getting from
Okay,
Cartagena.
and so in 3 days, they take you to 3 different, they take you to 3 different islands?
We actually go to more. We because we go to 2 during the day. So we'll go 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, and sometimes we'll sleep in that same one in the afternoon, or we go to a different one to sleep.
Nice.
Oh.
Yeah, so we went to a lot. Yeah.
And you said something about a party city in both Colombia and in Panama. Where are these party cities again?
So for salsa, you definitely want to go to Cali. Salsa, Cali is like the salsa capital.
Okay.
In Panama, there's Bocas del Toro for like kind of that beachy kind of nightlife, or Panama City for more of like not upscale per se, but more upscale than beachy, I guess. Not as beachy nightlife, yeah.
How about the
But
food in
Medellin also has a
Panama?
lot of parties. I'm sorry?
The food in Panama.
The food in Panama, it was kind of similar to Colombia. It was a lot of rice and beans, and then meat and plantains, and it was kind of the same within both of them, or chuletas, things like that. Yeah.
Someone asked, Celine, did you visit any indigenous communities?
I had wanted to go to the Lost City, which is another thing that maybe if I had more money or time, I would have done in Parque or in Santa Marta. A lot of people do that hike. It's a 4-day hike to get to the Lost City. There you would definitely see a lot of indigenous communities and families, probably some indigenous traditions. I unfortunately didn't get to do that. But while I was in the San Blas Islas, there are a lot of indigenous communities. I think it was the first day that we went to a different island, not one that we slept in, and we spent some time with the communities there. And they're called Los Cuna, I want to say they're called. Los Cuna. Yeah.
Okay, we have one more question here. Oh, when I click in it, it takes a while. What is going on?
Did you get to climb Guatapé?
Okay. Lisandra, yes, what's your question?
Did you get to climb Guatapé?
Oh yes, I definitely did. I want to say it was 798 steps, something like that.
It looks intense from the picture.
It looks what?
It looks very intense when I look at the picture.
Oh yeah, because you can see the stairs on the outside. Yeah, no, but it's definitely worth it. The day I went, it was super clear. There was like barely any clouds. And it wasn't that expensive. I want to say it was maybe 5,000 pesos colombianos, something like that. But yeah, it was definitely worth it. When you see from the top, it looks so surreal. The color of the water. Somebody pointed out to me the island that was Pablo Escobar's island. I forget which one it was, but there's one there. You can actually also do helicopter rides around it. I forget how much it is or for how long. It's probably not that long, but I didn't do that. But yeah,
someone asked, did you use couch surfing to meet people or just hostels?
No, just hostels. I've never couch surfed. I have considered it, but I haven't done it yet. So I don't know if I will. But
the hostels, did you prepare where you were gonna go beforehand, or you just literally arrived and then you decided from there?
So when I left the US to go to Colombia, I only had one hostel booked, which was when I got there in Medellin. And I think I booked it at first for only 2 nights because I wasn't sure how long I was going to stay in Medellin. And then once I was there, I booked it a little bit more. And then before leaving to the next city or town is when I would start looking up, oh, where do I want to go next? Where do I want to stay? And then book it from there. So I would only book it a day in advance or so, never more than that.
Did you sleep with other people in the same room, or you booked only for one person?
Yeah, no, it was the dorm style because it was a lot cheaper that way. Yeah.
Did you feel safe in the hostels? I want to experience like the hostel thing, but I just feel like weird, like it's not safe.
No, I've actually never had a problem with it. I always take my own lock, like a lock with a key and everything, just to be sure. But because most of them always have a locker, so that, and then you could either get a lock from the reception, but they charge you for that. If you take your own, then you don't have any worries, so you could just do it yourself. But yeah, I've never had any problem with that. So you can start small. There are ones that are just for women. The smallest I think are 4-bed female dorms.
Oh, that's nice and good to know.
Not every hostel, so it really depends on the hostel. Yeah.
Did anybody snore?
They did. I didn't hear them. I have no idea.
That is my biggest worry.
For the most part, I just slept right through it all. So
You were probably the one snoring and didn't realize it.
maybe. I have no idea.
So it seems like you had a pretty good time with like the locals and stuff. Like you was hitchhiking, like
Yeah.
had it, like hey, it can't get no better than that actually, because
Yeah.
you're comfortable enough to get into a car with somebody who you don't know. It must have been like a really good experience with the locals.
Yeah, no, it definitely was. Thinking about it, looking back, I don't know, maybe it would have been different if I had really thought about it. But in that moment, I was a little desperate, and there was no taxis passing by, and I didn't want to be stuck in that town for the night. So, yeah.
Yeah, I probably would have done the same thing. I'm a little crazy like that too.
Yeah, so it was fine.
Brian is asking, can you travel from Panama to Colombia by boat, or is it only from Colombia to Panama?
Yep, you could do the same exact thing, just the other way around. But you do need to be vaccinated with a yellow fever, because for some reason going into Colombia from Panama, they do require that, but not the other way around. So if you do want to do it that way, make sure you have that vaccination proof that you have.
And
So
what
if you
city
fly,
do you live from in Panama?
I'm sorry?
What city will someone live from in Panama?
Normally Colón. That's
Colón.
where the fast boats go, from Colón to Cartagena, or vice versa.
Okay.
Yeah.
so if you fly from Panama to Colombia, it's not required to have the vaccine?
I don't believe so, no. But you should double check. Don't take my word on that. But definitely on the boat, if you do it, you do need the yellow fever vaccination.
Got it.
Wow.
Yeah.
It seems like you did a lot in the month that you were gone. I think you said you were gone for a month. And I feel like you're not like able to like tell us everything you did, because I feel like we could probably sit here for hours.
Yeah.
With the experience that you went through.
Yeah.
So is there anything that you feel like you can highlight the most out of everything that you did, whether it's the food, the location, the hiking trip? Like what was like the highlight of the whole trip itself?
I think for me, when I was in San Agustin with the view of the valley, that was something that I hadn't planned on doing when I left the US, and I found out about it on my way, like in Medellin to Pereira. So I saw pictures of it, and there's actually these old sculptures. It must be from older civilizations. So that was completely unexpected, and it was also very beautiful. It was so green, it was so open. People there were super welcoming, super nice. I stayed at, I forget the name of it, I could look it up, but it was this house, somebody's house that was kind of renovated into a hostel. So most of the rooms were only for 2 or for couples, or so it was a lot smaller, but it ended up being like the house ended up being like a community kind of. So that was very nice and very unexpected. So I definitely enjoyed that a lot. I did horseback riding there. I think I did a hike, I want to say. I definitely did the horseback riding, which is very nice.
Someone just shared in Couchsurf, there is a meetup option. And Danali said she used it to go clubbing with travelers and locals. So just keep that in mind, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you for
What
sharing
is
that.
couch surf? I never
It's
heard
like
of that.
Airbnb, but instead of getting a room in someone's house, you literally sleep in their couch.
There
Oh,
was another
okay.
app I actually used while I was in Cartagena that's kind of similar, but it wasn't couch surfing. I forget, because there was like a hangout option, but I think I just downloaded it while I was there, and then I deleted it because I don't use it anymore. So I'm not sure what it was called. But yeah.
Yes. Any questions? Anyone?
Yeah. How much did you pack for 4 weeks?
How much did you pack?
How much did I pack? Oh, I did packing cubes. So I did 3. So one big one, like a medium, and then a small, and then these little bags. There's like 3. So like a bigger one, a medium, and a small one. Pretty much just that, and then hiking shoes. Made sure to take hiking shoes. I think I took 4 pairs of shoes, I want to say. Actually, I have a really interesting story. When I went in Santa Marta, let me finish with the packing and then, because I get really off track. So I took maybe about 4 or 5 pairs of like jeans, shorts, skirt combination, like 2 or 3 dresses, 7, 8, maybe 9 shirts, like shirts, tank tops, a sweater, and like 1 jacket. I took about that. And I ended up, so one of the sandals that I took, I ended up having to leave behind. When I went to Santa Marta, I wanted to go to La Minca. I'm not sure if anybody has heard of that, but it's where there's this huge hammock type out like over the jungle kind of, or over the rainforest where you could see far ahead. I always saw it on Instagram, so I wanted to go. So I went, and I was actually going to do that part also by myself that day, but I met this girl from Argentina on the way, kind of waiting to see who could take us up there. So I went with her. We ended up renting these motorbikes with these guys to do a tour. So they would take us around, and it ended up raining. It ended up downpour raining, that on the way down we couldn't really go down because it was kind of like mudslides or landslides, because there was so much rain, so it was covering the road. The guys would have to carry the motorcycles over, come back, carry us over, and do this like 7 or 8 times, and we were afraid that it was going to be dark before we got back. So that was definitely an unwanted experience, but an interesting one. I ended up losing my shoes because they got stuck in the mud while we were trying to climb over, like, because it was falling trees, falling a lot of stuff. And we ended up running into a group of 5 other guys on motorcycles. So they all kind of helped each other, and we all got down safely, tthankfully. But yeah, that was definitely an experience, just trying to get down that mountain. But I will never, and I didn't even in the end get to see the canopy with a nice view because it was downpouring, so I couldn't see anything. But it was an experience nonetheless.
You were
I feel
gonna
like we kind of need to have like a whole Zoom session on what do we need to pack when we go traveling, because I think everybody who I've heard spoke, they like taking a carry-on, they're like taking backpacks with like 5 sweaters, 5 shirts. I just don't get it. I take 2 suitcases everywhere I go, 1 for shoes and 1 for clothes, and a carry-on.
That's
sometimes.
a lot.
I need a lesson.
Do you even wear all of that?
Sometimes, depending on where I go. If it's really hot, I'll probably take like 2 or 3 showers a day, so I'll change a lot. But sometimes I don't. I really don't even. I just feel like I don't know how to put outfits together. Probably, I don't know, and put everything. I'm gonna wear this day. I feel like I need options for a day. I don't know, but I need to get this packing thing going. Vanessa, that means you need to put a lesson on Zoom.
How to pack.
What to pack? How to pack light.
What are the travel packing experts? If you are a special kind of packer and you customize your packing, message us so we can do a class with you. We would definitely set it up.
Well, what helps me is that I use compression bags, and that helps me a lot.
Yeah, that's good. I have those. I haven't used those, but I definitely will. They're actually right here next to me.
They're nice because I'm an overpacker myself.
Yeah.
Serena could fit 3 luggages in one backpack.
Yes.
No
That's
joke.
I'm
good.
team carry-on, and I fit so many stuff. I fit 2 weeks worth of stuff in one carry-on.
That's good right
But
there.
like one carry-on, like
One
one
carry-on,
backpack.
like one backpack.
Not even
Yeah.
a camping bag. It's like a
Mhm.
backpack.
Yeah.
I don't know how she does it. Any more questions, guys? Neutral colors makes mix and match easier. Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely
Yes.
like black shirts, black pants, black
Mhm.
anything, and then some
Or
other
outfit.
colors or
Yeah.
How was the food in both Colombia and Panama?
I couldn't hear the question.
The food, how was it? I know you said it was similar, like the rice,
Yeah.
but was there anything that stood out to you?
Just the bandeja paisa. Apart from that, I didn't feel like the food was the best part of the trip. Peru has so much more options, so Colombia and Panama felt a little bit less varied, I guess.
Mhm.
Less options in that end, but it was still good. What I would have was good. The meat was always good. There was always bagdar aguacate with the meals or rice with eggs. But I didn't feel like there was too many options, and maybe because I didn't know of other options. But I would always get the menu. Most of the places I went was the cheapest, and you would get the meal and a drink. So that would normally be about $6 or so, sometimes less, depending on where you were at. But that's what I would normally get. And probably because it was the cheapest, it wasn't that varied. But with that, I guess I went with the cheaper option so I could do more of the other things I wanted to do.
Yes. What about drinking?
What
Did
about
you go out
drinking? Did you go out
drinking, dancing? Tell us about
Yeah.
it.
So in Medellin, where I stayed, in El Poblado, Parque Lleras is definitely La Zona Rosa, so like very popular for nightclubs, and just around the whole park, there's a whole bunch of nightclubs, bars, all of that. So I definitely went there a couple of times. And then in Bocas, I also went out the 2 nights that I was there. I was only there 2 nights. Nearby, there was, my hostel even had a bar. Most of the hostels actually do have bars, or some even have like nightclubs within them. So you don't even have to go far. They're literally right there. And some of the other places I didn't, just because it was, I wanted to do other things, or I wanted to get up earlier. But mainly in Medellin, Panama City, and Bocas are the 3 places that I went out. If I went in other places, I guess it wasn't that memorable because I don't remember.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask, what was the aguardiente? Do you have aguardiente in Colombia?
I've had it before. I've had it here in the States, and it kind of tastes like black licorice to me, and I don't like black licorice, so I didn't have it again. Yeah.
What would be the alcohol of Panama?
Ooh, that's a good question. I don't know. I don't think I tried it. I think I just had like regular vodka, cranberries, things like that, or beer. So I didn't experiment too much on that one. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Any other questions, guys? If you are on Instagram, go to the question mark, ask your questions. If you're in Zoom, just unmute yourself and ask the questions directly. Yes. Or anything else that you want to share with us? I see the Colombian flag there.
Oh yeah.
Did you buy anything? Did you go shopping?
No, I just made them with pastels. I've been cleaning and redecorating my room, so I found pastels and watercolors. So I was like, let me do that. That'll be nice. Yeah. So if you do go to Colombia and kind of do a similar itinerary that I did, like I said, Medellin has really nice temperate weather. Cartagena is really hot. And then near Pasto, so near Ecuador, it does get cold at night. And I assumed that Colombia had one general kind of temperature and didn't pack as well for Pasto. So I kind of got there and it was cold for me because I've been used to like nice warmer weather. So if you do end up doing like a whole country long trip, definitely keep in mind the weather, because I didn't even think about it when I was packing. So I kind of had to put on multiple layers to sleep. But it didn't get that cold. It was just colder than I was used to for like the last week or two.
Mhm.
But
Usually in Bogota is usually colder too. Did you go there?
I didn't. I had gone to Bogota on a previous trip, actually by accident. When I was going to Cuba, we ended up having to stay a night in Bogota. So I explored Bogota. It wasn't my favorite. Maybe I didn't give it much of a chance. I could go back, but so that's why I decided not to go this time and just go to the other places.
Sounds like a plan. Well, if you guys don't have any questions, then I guess this is it. Thank you so much for joining us, Flavia. We love learning about Colombia and Panama. You gave us so much useful information, and thank you so much for making it happen for us.
Yep. If you guys ever have any questions, you guys can just message me, and I can help you with as much as I know.
Absolutely. So I'm gonna stop the live. And if you guys have any questions here in the chat, you can ask now as well. Oh, the other flag was covered. You have also the Panama flag.
Yeah, I do.
I had the chat on top, so I wasn't seeing.
It's just like this. Yeah, I have both. I do them both. And I made like a little travel corner here in my room.
I see. Are you looking to go back to any of those countries, or you think you did enough?
Maybe definitely not soon, just because I went there so recently, and there's so many other places I want to go to. But I would go back. I want to go visit my friends that are in Medellin that live there now, so I would go back there. Yeah,
very, very nice. Medellin was my top city as well.
Yeah,
when I went. So really looking forward to going back, because I didn't get enough time there, because I didn't know it was going to be that good.
Right, exactly.
So then I spent more time in Cartagena and in Bogota, and I'm like, yo, Medellin is better. So why didn't? So now I need to go back to do Medellin, and I want to do other cities as well. So
yeah, and Cartagena is so hot. That's another thing. I didn't pack as lightly for Cartagena as I should have.
So you suffered both. You were like, either you were too cold or you were too hot.
Exactly. I was perfect for Medellin. But then the other places, it was too much.
So just keep in mind, guys, plan multi-weather outfits.
Yeah, Colombia does have a lot of weather, so.
Or layers. Get layers.
It's hot in Panama all the time. It rains in the wintertime.
Yeah, no, Panama was also, Bocas was very hot.
In September, every day, it rains every day from late May to like the fall. It rains every day out there.
Thankfully, while I was there, it didn't rain too much. I think it rained like one day. I actually got really lucky with the weather in that aspect. It wasn't rainy anywhere in Colombia or in Panama. Wow. I was worried about that for the boat, that I was going to be on the boat and it was just going to be raining the whole time, but thankfully it wasn't. It was great.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you so much for joining. Tomorrow, guys, we have Glomeri. She's going to be presenting to us about Brazil. She actually lived there. She went to school there and studied there, spent, I believe, an entire summer there. And she's going to be presenting at 6 Eastern time and 3 Pacific time. And she's going to start with her a hike that she did, where she had to hike at 3 in the morning and everything was dark and scary. So, but she's going to talk a lot about living there and Carnival. She went to Carnival twice. So she's going to talk about the experience of being at Carnival. So I cannot wait to see you tomorrow for Brazil. And thank you again, Flavia, for giving us all this info and getting us inspired to visit those countries and to travel solo as well.
Yeah, I think that's the hardest part. Some people, are scared, which I was kind of scared too, but it was fine.
Sometimes it's just the mind doing it to ourselves and not really. I have trust in people. Like I believe there is a lot of good in the world.
Same. So I like to go with that. Not think the bad.
Yes. Well, thank you and have a beautiful day, guys.